Thanks for coming by for the second forum in partnership between Element Showcase and W Magazine. We have an interesting topic this time. It is buying fragrance influences behind the purchase. We have an extremely diverse bunch of panelists here that we're really pleased to welcome. First are Paul Berardi and Eddie Chai, owners of Odin in New York City. Then we have MJ Rose, author of the upcoming novel, The Book of Lost Fragrances. Next we have Pamela Vale, who is a fine fragrance industry expert, branding, marketing, and product development consultant. Then we have Sarah Horowitz-Tron. She is a master perfumer, owner of Sarah Horowitz Parfums. And finally we have Olivia Brensborn. She's a French publisher of Iconofly. She launched her first fragrance, Attachement, at the Bon Marché 2 years ago, or 2009 rather, and now it's available at Barney's New York as well.
So the guys are just telling me that they saw on Twitter someone tweeted that Elements is like the Art Basel of the fragrance world. And I'm really mad because I wish I tweeted that. It's a very apt description and something that we're all very excited about. So let's just jump right in. What determines how you buy the fragrance you buy? Do you go to the department store and spritz every inch of your arm? Do you take the Bill Cunningham approach and wear the loudest, most unusual scent just to get everyone's attention, even if you don't care what it smells like? Do you buy it in hopes that someone will come up to you and say, "Oh my God, you smell like J-Lo. Wait, are you J-Lo?" Or do you do what I do and stop whoever I smell it on, whether it's a friend or someone in an elevator, and say, "Please tell me what you're wearing. I have to have it." And sometimes they will, sometimes they won't. That is what today's topic is about. Wow, I really do have to keep the mic right there. Sorry. That's what today's topic is about. As the fragrance business continues to explode with everyone creating scents, from artists to heiresses to photographers, ferociously opinionated fragrance bloggers, and of course new fragrance launches that consistently break records in numbers of launches every year. This morning's panel aims to shed light on how to buy fragrance, how to sell fragrance, how to describe fragrance. And we're going to jump right in on this topic. Pamela, my first question is for you. What do you think consumers want in a fragrance now? I feel like the Me Too or the celebrity fragrance might be waning a little, but and people want to smell unlike anyone else. They want to have their own signature fragrance. How do the big brands deal with that, and how do the indie brands deal with that?
Okay, well first of all, I think there are a lot of different fragrance customers out there. I don't think there's just one. So you have your fragrance junkie. She loves fragrance, she's buying fragrance. She is loyal, and she's also on a constant prowl for something new and exciting and innovative. So that customer is out in the store. She's smelling, she's touching, she's looking at bottles, she's inspired by the category. You also have customers who are looking for gift giving, and you have celebrity feeding that very massive gift giving phenomenon. So you have fragrances like Beyonce, like Justin Bieber, feeding that market. So I would like to say there's more than one customer out there. And I would also like to say that we look at the market from a range of ways that consumers approach and perceive the category. What was interesting today, I don't know if any of you were at the Fragrance Foundation breakfast this morning, but we did hear that prestige fragrances grew by 11% in 2011, and mass market fragrances dropped by 5%. So that's really interesting that the consumer is buying fragrance again, she's engaged in the category, and she's buying quality, high-end fragrances.
That makes it sound like the consumer is getting smarter and smarter in fragrance. Sarah, I wanted you to speak on that a little. Like, how do your customers, how many years have you been in the business now? All right, let's just say it's more than 5, okay?
No, I will answer this honestly because I sometimes can't believe that I've been doing anything professionally
40 years, right?
Thank you, Jane. Yes, since birth. No, I've been doing this over 20 years now. I met a perfumer when I was 17, and it was my life before that day and my life after that day. And I'm so grateful that I've been in this industry for as long as I have. That being said, I was thinking about that question because I have been working, my specialty is custom fragrance, and I meet with individuals, I smell their skin, I hear their stories, and I create fragrances based on what they love. So I'm someone that truly aficionados have sought out. It was something very specific. Over the years, and with the rise of the internet, I've seen the education level rise in customers incredibly. And I know we're talking about language, and I can say that in the past I would have customers that say, I don't really know, I know I like Chanel No. 5, but I don't know what that means. And now I'm having people come and say, I love aldehydic florals with Rose de Mai, and it's amazing. It's just such an incredible thing. I definitely think that the education level is raising. I think that the bloggers and as well as mainstream print are getting much more specific and speaking to them on a higher level, and so I think that there's a hunger for it, and I think that's affecting how people are choosing their fragrances, how they're seeking them out, and I think that's why we're also seeing the prestige and the custom and the niche markets rise because of that experience. They don't want to smell like everybody else. They want something that's speaking to them, and because fragrance is so emotional, they don't want to smell like their grandmother or their boyfriend's mom or ex-girlfriend. They want something that's uniquely speaking to who they are, and I'm seeing that more in not just the customization, but in niche fragrance, and I think that's why we're seeing it raise the way it is.
How much of your business is online?
A large percentage of my business is online, actually. We have the website for the ready-to-wear, and the ready-to-wear does very well because I'm seeing that there are people that really don't want to think about how to make it. They want just to have something that's already made for them. But we offer a service that's a custom experience on the website where it's a questionnaire that people can fill out, and then we create unique formulas for them. And that I've seen rise probably 12% in the last year, just because people are hungering for something that is unique. And it's amazing because you can't smell it online. So you know, it's really about the visuals and the emotion, the words that we're using, which I know MJ can speak to very well, but it's really expressing to the customer, and sampling. I think sampling is highly important because your body chemistry is the final ingredient in any fragrance, and that is what's going to tell you if it works for you. Good?
Very good. MJ, how many words are there? How many synonyms are there for fragrance?
You know, it was so hard when I started writing this book. I had been in advertising, and I worked on a fragrance launch called Sia Sian, which probably most people have never heard of. It was a $40 million launch in the late 80s for Charles the Ritz, and then I worked on Opium. So I'd had a little bit of experience in trying to translate a story into film, but film has words and pictures. And this novel, The Book of Lost Fragrances, which has a lot to do, obviously, with fragrance, I was completely lost when I started. And when I had started reading a lot of blogs, and I was starting to take down words, and I was keeping little cards on different colors of words that had nothing to do with fragrance, evocative words. And I would fill the room, the wall, with all these words so that when I was sitting and writing, I did two things. I had 1 million words on the wall, and I was burning incense candles to try to just submerge myself into the world of how do you tell a story about a fragrance with words. And I was buying perfumes online for their description. I did that for about $500 worth, and then that was a terrible mistake, because nothing ever smelled as beautiful as the description. And I really learned a lot from my mistakes. I mean, as probably the only consumer on the panel, I really was taken with the way bloggers were describing the perfumes. And then I'd get the perfume, and my experience was so different. And
so you're disappointed.
I actually, every single one of them was disappointing. There are other perfumes I found that I love by buying samples. I then learned that you could buy samples online, which was amazing. And then I became Perfume Court's biggest customer. And then I could match the description to the sample and then decide.
But the first couple of months was really eye-opening in how good bloggers were at describing these scents, or better than the scents.
Just make a comment. I think that the internet is one of the best ways to educate on fragrance. A consumer can get more information on the internet about a fragrance than she would ever get in a traditional department store environment. She can see the fragrance notes, she can see images, even though she can't smell it, she can hear the story, she can be emotionally drawn in. And people say, why the internet? Well, the internet is a way to engage her. And through sampling, as a follow-up to the storytelling aspect of fragrance, it's a very powerful vehicle today.
I just feel like descriptions are so subjective, though. Like, I'm not going to get much out of fruity floral. I'm not even going to get that much out of the notes that are in it. When I go to a presentation and I'm told what notes are in it, and then I smell it, I often think this smells nothing like jasmine or, you know,
but
whatever.
Again, it is subjective. But if you're telling the story of the boyfriend, this fragrance is about the way my boyfriend smells on my skin. And it's nuzzly, and it's warm, and it's sexy, and it's sensual.
So it's setting the mood more than its
across.
adjectives.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
And there's also a really big problem with what's happening on the internet. The one downside, which we deal with all the time in publishing and authors, is the mystique of a lot of things goes away. With listing all the ingredients and how it's made and all the information you can get, there's a lot of mystery that's being lost, and I think the good side is you learn a lot, the bad side is a lot of what you learn hurts the whole imagery.
Right, right. Olivia, speaking of fragrance telling a story, you have quite the story, and if we had all the time in the world, I'd love to hear the whole thing, but for those of you who don't know, Olivia started a publication called Iconofly, which is available in museums and high-end hotels?
Yes, and concept stores, mostly
and concept
right
stores.
now. Yeah.
And next thing you knew, you were launching a fragrance.
Well, in 2009, I was working on a publication devoted to, like this, devoted to bracelets. And I invited musicians, writers, cartoonists to talk about bracelets. And I turned to two perfumers, Christine Nagel and Benoît Lapouza, and I asked them if the bracelet was to become a scent, a fragrance. It would say "Attache-moi," which means tie me up. And they came up with a very beautiful, addictive scent made of wood, amber, and musk. And at the beginning, I thought it was just going to be part of the publication.
And that you would only give as a gift at the launch, right?
Yes, and the head of the perfumes at the Bon Marché fell in love with the scent and decided to launch it. And within a month, it sold out. That was the beginning of the story. Then I came to America, gave the sample to a friend who called me one day and said, someone last night smelled it, he's selling at Barney's, he's one of the sales manager, and he wants to show it to his directors. That's now exclusive at Barney's in America. And just word of mouth, it's been doing really well.
So there is no ad, obviously, and no description, but do people learn the story of it when they smell it at the counter?
They learn the story about it, and I think we were talking of blogs earlier, and when it was first introduced at Barney's, a few days later, I read over the internet a blogger on Base Note, one of the most, her name is Query, and she's writing a lot, and she had written, I wish I may, I wish I might, sample Attache-moi some night. And I was like, wow, this is absolutely beautiful. So I created an account, I wrote to her and I said, what do you write this? And she said, well, I've been loving the sense of Christine Nagel and of Benoît Lapouza separately. And to think that they have come together makes me wake up at night. And that was really the beginning of a long, it was really, so that was beautiful. That was, and then she wrote about, I don't know, 20 blogs about, yes, things about Attache-moi, how it's keeping her, and the first time when she received it, she was a bit disappointed. It was not as she was expecting it, as she had dreamt it would be. And then days after days she would change her mind, and then in the end now it's her favorite scent. But it was, that's it.